So after the author mentions regarding the angels, he talks about, now we've done the major topics, we've done the major discussions. From now onwards is the shorter discussions and the quicker discussions in two aspects. Number one, the mention within the sources, the Quran and Sunnah, is not as abundant as the ones we've discussed previously. That's one thing. And the second thing is, the discussion regarding them may be lengthy in terms of conversation, but the discussion regarding them in terms of belief, and what you must believe, is very small and very little. And that's why the author suffices by quickly going through these topics and only mentioning those things which are fundamental, and not going into the extra details of them. For example, destiny, for example, doomsday, for example, the signs of the Day of Judgment, what's going to happen in the grave, etc., etc. There's many things mentioned regarding these within the hadith, etc., etc., but it is not necessary for a Muslim to believe in that. What do I mean by that? That if you do not believe in it, you will not become a disbeliever. Okay? There are certain things regarding these particular topics that if you do not believe in them, you'll be classed as someone who is misguided, or somebody who is not following sound tradition, someone who is not following the sound hadith. However, the claim that somebody becomes a disbeliever is a great claim. Okay? So, based on that, the author only mentions those things and those doctrines that are fundamental, in the sense that if you do not believe in them, you will become a disbeliever. So he starts off chapter 7, we've covered 6 chapters. In the 7th chapter, he talks about destiny. Destiny in Arabic, which we say is Qadr. Okay, when we recite the kalima, we say Amantu billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi wal yawmil akhiri wal qadri khayrihi wa sharrihi. That's Qadr. Qadr is destiny, predestination, or we say it in our language, we call it Taqdeer. Taqdeer is also another word for destiny. This is again, Qadr is an essential part of our faith. It is mentioned within our kalima that I believe, you say, I believe in Allah, I believe in His angels, I believe in His books, I believe in His messengers, I believe in the Day of Judgment, and I believe in destiny, predestination, the good of it and the bad of it. So you have complete faith in predestination, complete faith in destiny. But what must we believe regarding that? The author states that everything that happens in this world, and whatever actions creatures do, whether good or evil, everything happens according to the divine knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which He knows in pre-eternity. Allah knows everything that will come to pass, and He has written down everything. That is the fundamental doctrine, or the fundamental belief we have regarding predestination and regarding Qadr. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything that has happened, is happening, and will happen. And I use these tenses in our sense, okay? In terms of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's no tense for Him. Why? Because He is forever existing. There's no past, present, or future for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In our understanding, Allah knows the past, the present, and the future. Whatever actions or whatever a creature, okay, not only humans, rather creature, anything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, whatever they are to do when they come into this world, whatever actions they do, whatever choices they make, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew that from His divine knowledge. Okay, as we mentioned right at the start when we were talking regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we said He is Alim, meaning He is the all-knowing. So through His divine knowledge, He subhanahu wa ta'ala knew what every single person was going to do when they come into the world. And what did He do? He wrote everything down. Meaning not He physically wrote everything, but rather He ordered the qalam to write everything into the lawh. Okay, these are two things which we also believe in. The qalam is the pen, and the lawh is the tablet. The qalam is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded to write, and the lawh is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded to write. Meaning the qalam, He commanded the qalam, the pen, to write upon the tablet everything that was going to happen. From start till end, everything is preserved and written within this lawh, which is known as al-lawhul mahfuz, the preserved tablet. Everything is written within this tablet, al-lawhul mahfuz. That's all we have to believe regarding destiny. And the important part here is that the author does not go into so much detail. Rather, he suffices with just a single paragraph. And then he moves on to the next topic. What's the reason for this? The reason for this is a hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where the Prophet ﷺ said to his companions that do not delve too much into matters regarding destiny. Into matters regarding destiny. Why? Because you will become perplexed and you will become confused regarding these matters, and they are of no benefit to you. When someone goes too deep into matters regarding destiny and predestination and fate, what happens, they make up some theories and they reach some conclusions which are completely absurd. Okay? And what does that eventually do? If you delve too much into these matters, you lose track of why you are actually here. Meaning you lose your actual purpose. Our purpose here is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, and to be good slaves and to be good servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, be obedient to Him. If we delve too deep in matters of destiny, it is taking us away from the reality of things, which is that why we are here, what we are created for, etc., etc. In a simple understanding, the author poses a question, and this is the question that is asked by every single person when it comes to destiny. And he suffices with just one answer and one question, because he himself does not want to delve too deep into the matter regarding destiny, because it can confuse a lot of people. He says that, seeing as you have now said that our belief regarding destiny and Qadr is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew everything that was going to happen and He wrote that down, does that mean everything I do now, I am compelled to do that? Understand the question? Yes? Seeing as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written down everything that He knew through His knowledge, that every single creature was going to do, does that mean I am now compelled to do that? And that's the most important question when it comes to destiny. The author gives a very simple answer. He says, no. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the choice, which we will term free will, to humans to choose between good and evil. Whatever a man will choose to do is written with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the simple answer. Let me make that easier to understand. So the author is saying that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had written everything down into the preserved tablet before I was even created, does that mean when I come into this world, I'm kind of programmed to do whatever I'm going to do? Is that what it means? That's what people get confused when it comes to destiny. That if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything, does that mean I am now compelled to make a particular decision? That's why sometimes you hear people, when they make a stupid choice, or when they make a bad choice, they say, oh, what can I do? I was compelled to do so. Or Allah already wrote it down, so I didn't really have a choice. Okay, these are some of the things we hear from the people. And the author is answering that objection and he's saying, no, that is not the case. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala writing down within the tablet, within the lawh, what a person is doing or shall do, does not compel the person to make that particular choice. Okay, that's our belief, that's our aqidah. Let me make that easier for you to understand. If, for example, I was to say to you now, brother, can you please stand? If I was to say, brother, can you please stand? In that moment in time, you have been given a choice. Okay? In your mind, you have a choice. Either you can listen to me and you can stand up, or you cannot listen to me and choose to sit down. Okay? So you, in that moment, are not compelled to do anything. Allah is not compelling a person to make a particular choice. Like in that moment, if you stood, you agreed to do what I said. If you didn't stand, you disagreed with me and you remained sitting down. So in that moment, every person has a choice. This is just one simple example. If you take that, you can apply that to your entire life. In every single moment, you have a free choice. A decision that you will make in that moment, either to go one way or to go the other way. That is your free will. So in reality, nobody is compelled by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make a particular decision or to do a particular act. Okay? In every single moment, you have a choice, you have a decision that you make yourself. Then what is the purpose of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala writing it down? Okay? This relates to the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows through His pre-eternal knowledge every choice that you are going to make. Okay? There's a big difference here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not compel you to make a choice, rather through His knowledge, He knew the choice and the decision that you were going to make. And that is what He subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the pen to write within the tablet. And that is a simple understanding of what Qadr, what destiny, fate, predestination, taqdeer, many different words, what that actually means. And we do not delve, and this is very important because a lot of the times we see within our conversations, we talk about this very often. And we come up with absurd ideas and theories. That's why the Prophet ﷺ told us to refrain from going into too much detail regarding these matters. And the most important reason for that is because it does not bring any benefit. Okay? As they say, the philosopher, what does he do? He only thinks, no action. There's only thinking. That's what philosophers do. So when you go into matters regarding destiny, etc. in detail, you'll spend all your time thinking about all these concepts, and your action will be no. It will be nothing. Okay? So that's why the Messenger of Allah ﷺ commanded that this is the absolute basic belief you should have regarding Qadr and destiny, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew every single choice, every single decision that you were going to make. Like for example, today you had a decision and a choice to either come here or not come here. Nobody can say they were compelled by God to come here. You chose, you made a decision to get up, drive down, come out of your house, etc. to come to the masjid. This was a choice that you had and you made this decision. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in a simple manner, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew that you will make that decision. When did He know that? He knew that since eternity. That this person will be created and in this moment this person will make this choice. Okay, that is from the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is all a person is obliged to believe regarding Qadr and destiny. And when we say khayrihi wa sharrihi, we mean the good and the evil. What does that mean? That means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew the good decisions that we were going to make and the good choices, and He also knew the evil that was going to come as a result of our choices. So we do not say that I believe in the destiny that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew all the good I was going to do, but He didn't know the bad. Okay? And the bad comes from Shaytaan, not from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, that is an incorrect belief. The good and the bad comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shaytaan is not a creator. Shaytaan is not a khaliq. Shaytaan is not a lord. He does not have the ability to do any of these things. Yes, he has one thing that he whispers. Okay? He has waswasa. He whispers and he incites people to do evil. He does not create evil. Good and evil is created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, that is the most simplest understanding of Qadr and destiny that we must know and we must understand. After this chapter, the author moves on now to death and life in the grave. So we've covered a lot of the important topics in regards to belief, and now he moves on to those aspects that we must believe regarding the unseen per se, the sam'iyat, those things that will happen in the grave, the day of judgment, etc., etc. And we will cover that inshallah in the next couple of weeks. So he starts first by saying that a period of time is appointed to every person as their life. Okay? It can neither increase nor decrease. When the person's time is over, the angel of death takes out his or her soul. Okay? In a simple understanding, that is what death is. Death is khurujul ruhi min al-jasad, the removing of the soul from the body. Once that occurs, the person is now dead. That's what death is, and that will come to every single person. As promised by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within the Quran, كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ, every soul shall taste death. Okay? وَإِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُكُمْ لَا يَسْتَأْخِرُونَ سَاعَةً وَلَا يَسْتَقْدِمُونَ. And when the time and when your appointed time comes, and Allah makes it clear in the Quran, when your appointed time comes, it will neither increase or decrease. Meaning every single person has an appointed time to live in this world. Once that time comes, it does not matter where you are, it does not matter what you are doing. Once your time comes, لَا يَسْتَأْخِرُونَ سَاعَةً وَلَا يَسْتَقْدِمُونَ. It does not get delayed, it does not get averted, and it does not get brought closer. Rather, the time is fixed and appointed. When that time comes, a person's soul is taken from his body, and he is now dead. Okay? And the angel, as we mentioned 2 weeks ago, the angel who is in charge of taking the soul out of the body is known as Sayyidina Israel alayhi salatu wasalam, or Malakul Maut, the angel of death. Okay, that's his duty, that's his job, that's what he does. Then he continues and he says, when a man is about to die, what happens? Okay, of course, these are matters of the unseen. All of these beliefs and doctrines are found within the Quran and the Sunnah. The majority of them are within the hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he explains what happens when a person is about to die. He says when a man is about to die, he will see numerous angels on either side, as far as his eyes can see. Okay, this is the first thing that happens. When a person is about to die, they will see angels everywhere. Like for example, you've heard from people that when the person is in the hospital room or the ICU, wherever they are, that entire room or that entire area becomes filled with angels. Okay, that's the part of experiencing death. If the dying man, if the dying man is a Muslim, he will see angels of mercy. Okay, so when a person is dying and the person is a believer, angels will surround him. And if he's a believer, the angels that will surround him will be angels of mercy. And they will be there to ease the pain of death from him, to ease the removal of the soul for him. Of course, if a person has believed, and he believed that on the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold me to account, I will be judged, etc., etc. If a person believes all of these things, and then in his final moments, he sees the angels of mercy, that brings him some sort of satisfaction. Okay, that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends angels of mercy, angels of rahmah to surround the dying person only if he's a believer. What happens to the disbeliever? But if he is a disbeliever, he will see angels of torment. If the person that's passing away or the person that's dying is a disbeliever, the angels that will surround him at the time of death will be the angels of punishment, the angels of torment, meaning that when his soul is about to be taken from his body, it will be made very clear to him that he died a disbeliever, because he will see angels of punishment, angels of torment. And that is the moment where they realize that they messed up, basically. That they should have believed. They should have believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They should have believed in the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Okay? The soul of a Muslim, and once the angels surround the person, angels of mercy for the believer, angels of torment for the disbeliever, once that happens, then the soul is taken out from the body. The angel of death takes the soul out of the person's body, and the soul is taken from the feet upwards, and is taken out from the throat. Okay, and in another variation I read that it's taken out from the feet. Okay, so again, these are things that are not fundamental doctrines in that sense, that if you believe it came out from the feet, you're a disbeliever now. Okay, these are things that are mentioned, and there's some opinions regarding these things. But what is mentioned here is that when the person's soul is taken out, then a Muslim, a believer's soul, is taken out with such care that he would not even feel that his soul is being taken out of his body. And the example that is given is that if you find a little pebble or something within a haystack, and you just pick that up, the haystack doesn't feel anything. Okay? If you pick out a pebble from a haystack, you won't be able to feel anything. Okay? It is in that manner a person's soul is taken out, a believer, a Muslim. He doesn't feel the severity or any punishment, rather he feels mercy and he feels care. However, if it's a disbeliever, their soul is taken out and removed with scorn and humiliation, meaning they feel every inch of their body move and shake. Okay? When their soul is taken out from the body. And it is at this time, just before your soul is about to come out from your throat. That's what they say. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Hatta yugharghir," that until the person does gharghar. What does gharghar mean? Gharghar is the sound that a person makes when they have something stuck in their throat. So when your soul is being taken out and it's reached literally your throat, is about to be taken out, until that moment a person has the opportunity to repent and make tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for anything, any of the actions that he has done or she has done. Okay, until that moment. And that is a crucial moment, because after that, everything within the world for you is over now, is finished. Whatever deeds you did, that's it, that's the end. Whatever evil you did, that's the end. Whatever good you did, that's the end. These are your last final seconds that you will spend in the dunya, in the world. Then he says, what happens after that? So your body, for example, is in the hospital ICU. the angel of death has taken your soul out. What does the angel of death do with that soul? He mentions various places are designated for souls. The souls of the pious are settled in places different to those where souls of evil people dwell. Wherever they might be, the relation of souls to their bodies remain, and therefore hurting the deceased bodies will cause them pain. The dead can see those who visit them and hear their voices. Okay, so he mentions that when a person dies, their soul is taken out. Now where does the soul go? The soul goes into a realm which we call Alamul Barzakh, okay, which is known in simple terms as the soul, the realm of souls. That's where the arwah, that's where the souls reside and dwell. We don't know what it is, we don't know how it is, and in terms of belief, we don't need to know that. There are certain narrations of certain theories mentioned by scholars that this is how it is, but of course we do not have to have iman and belief in that. It's not that if we don't believe that then we become disbelievers. Rather, you know that there is a place, we don't know how it is, and we don't know what happens there, but there exists a place where all the souls, once they are taken and removed from the body, they reside in that place. And of course, the good souls, the souls of the pious, the souls of the believers, are kept separate from the souls of the evil people. The impious individuals, their souls are kept separate, the pious souls are kept in a different place. Then he says that it does not matter where these souls go, but their connection and their relation with the body remains. Okay, what does that mean? That means if the body is punished, the soul feels it. If the soul is punished, the body will feel it. If the body is being treated with care and love, the soul will feel it. If the soul is being treated with care and love, the body will feel it. Okay? So the connection between the soul and the body remains forever. Okay? That's why he makes it very clear. He says, hurting the body of the deceased will cause them pain. And you're probably thinking the person's dead. The person has passed away. What kind of feeling of pain can this person have? It's not that sort of pain, the physical pain that you might feel within your body. Rather, the soul will feel the pain. The soul will feel the pain that is inflicted upon the body even after the soul is taken out. Why? Because the connection between the soul and the body will remain. Then he says that the dead can see those who visit them and hear their voices. Okay, before this, the soul and the body have a connection, and which will clarify it further later on. The reason for that is the punishment of the grave is upon the body. Yes? How can it be upon the body? All that's left is skeletons. The punishment of the grave is upon the soul and whatever remains of the body. But regardless of, even if it's just skeletons, the pain is felt by the soul, not the body. Okay? And the relationship between the body and the soul remains even within the grave, and it will remain forever. That relationship until the day of resurrection. Then he makes an important point. He says, the dead can see those who visit them and hear their voices. How could they possibly do this when the body has been eaten up by the ground and there's no eyes, there's no ears, there's nothing left? Because the relationship of the soul and the body remain. Regardless of how much of body there is left, even if it's just bones, bones are still part of the body. The flesh has been eaten away, the flesh has gone, but the connection still remains. And he says that those people who visit the dead, who visit the deceased in their graveyard, etc., etc., they see them. How do they see them? They don't see them from within the grave. Rather, the soul sees that the person is visiting him at his gravesite. That's what it means. And they hear their voices. Okay? Again, when we go to a graveyard and you say, Assalamu alaikum ya ahl al-qubur, that peace be upon you, O people of the graveyard. Antum as-sabiqun, you are the ones who went before us. وَنَحْنُ إِنْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ بِكُمْ لَاحِقُونَ, and we shall, inshaAllah, by the will of God, we shall be joining you too. This is what the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would say when he would visit and pass by a graveyard. He would convey his salam upon the deceased. Some of the companions asked, O Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, you are conveying your salam to the deceased. Do they even hear you? The Prophet ﷺ replied, they don't only hear me, they hear me and they reply back to me as well. And they reply back to everyone who conveys the salam. It's just that we cannot hear them. They can hear us, but we cannot hear them. And what part of the body will do the hearing, there's nothing left. It is the soul, because the connection is always there. So whether the body is in the grave, the body can be in the grave anywhere in the world, and the soul can be in a complete different realm, but the connection remains. So regardless of where the body is and where the soul is, the connection between them two will remain. So the soul will be made aware of who is coming to the grave to visit the deceased, and who is conveying salam to them, etc., etc., and who's praying for them, all of these things, the soul is made aware. And of course, this is by the permission and the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? Then he mentions that, and he mentions a very important part here, which is a refutation of a belief held by certain people within the subcontinent known as the Hindus. He says, a soul does not transmigrate from one body and enter another after death. This is an absurd idea born out of ignorance. This is known as awa gavan in Urdu/Hindi. Okay? So there is a concept within Hindu theology that they believe, and we call this reincarnation as well, that the soul, once it's removed from a body, it is taken, cleansed, purified, whatever, and then it enters into another body. Okay? And that's why you probably hear some of these facts like, I hope I'm not an animal in the next life. I've lived 7 lives, Sat Janam they say. 7 lives, 1 life as a human, 1 as a god, 1 as a mosquito, 1 as a dog, etc. All of this concept, this whole idea is completely absurd and is born out of ignorance. There's no logical concept to back it up, and there's no reference, there's no mention of such a concept within any tradition, any kitab, any book, revealed tradition by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is no transmigration or reincarnation. This is a complete absurd idea. We as Muslims do not believe in that. What do we believe in? The soul is taken from the body, the soul is placed in a realm where all other souls are placed, but the connection between that body and that soul remains. Okay, that's what we believe regarding what happens to the soul. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, whatever happens in Alam al-Barzakh, the realm of the souls, what goes on, what kind of a place it is, etc., that is not fundamental knowledge. Okay, so we don't have to believe in that, but we cannot believe that the soul is taken from one body and placed into another body and then another body. Okay, that's not the correct belief regarding the soul. Then he continues and says, death means that the soul has separated from a person's body, as I mentioned. So the simple understanding of death is the removal of the soul from the body. That's why we often hear, we say that death is not the end. Okay? Death is not the end. Death is merely a journey that you are going through. It's just a pit stop. Okay? You stopped here in this world for a bit, and then you move on to the next world. Thereafter you move on to the next world. As Imam al-Haddad rahimahullah mentioned within his book, he says that every single person lives 5 lives. I believe I mentioned this in Jum'ah. The first life is the life before creation. Okay? The life before conception. That's a life, again, where there was just a soul, that's it, there was nothing else. Then there's the life that a person spends in the mother's womb. That's a life of 9 months. Thereafter, there's the life that the person spends in this world, in this dunya. Then the 4th life is the life of the grave and the hereafter. And then the final life, the 5th life, is either the life that you spend in Jannah or the life you spend in Jannah or Jahannam, depending on the deeds that you did in your 3rd life, which was the life that we are living right now. So depending upon the deeds we did in this life, we will either end up in Jannah or Jahannam, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from those who enter paradise. Okay, so these are 5 lives. So death is just taking you from the 3rd life, the life of this world, and taking you into the 4th life, the life of the grave. That's all death is. Okay? Then he says, but the soul does not perish after being separated from the body. Okay? It is incorrect to believe that the soul perishes and the soul finishes. No. The soul remains, and it remains in the realm of souls. When a person is buried, the grave squeezes the dead person. The dead man hears the sound of the waning footsteps of those who buried him. This again is mentioned within a hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that when the people who take the janazah, okay, once they bury the person into his grave, when they walk back and they leave him there, he can hear the sounds of their footsteps fading away in the distance. The dead person hears that. Okay? The dead man hears the sounds of the footsteps 2 ferocious angels will descend in the grave, cleaving the earth. They will have blue eyes and will be terrifying to behold. So now when the person is put into the grave, he's buried into the grave, 2 angels will appear to him. Okay? They will have blue eyes. Again, this color of the eyes, blue eyes, is mentioned within the hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the angels will have blue eyes and they will be terrifying. Meaning these angels will not be pleasant. They won't come with roses. They will be terrifying. Some of them have described that the angels will have hair that will be from their forehead to their feet. Okay? And they will rip apart the earth when they are coming towards you. These angels are known as Munkar and Nakir. Okay, we mentioned regarding them last week. Munkar and Nakir are the 2 angels who question in the grave. Okay? So these 2 angels will come. One is named Munkar and the other is named Nakir. So these are 2 angels. Sometimes people think that Munkar and Nakir is one person and it's one angel. No. Munkar and Nakir are 2 angels. One is Munkar, the other is known as Nakir. They will make the dead body sit upright and ask the dead person the following questions. Okay, as we mentioned, the purpose of these 2 angels is to question the individuals in the graves. So they will come, ripping apart the earth, blue eyes, long hair, very scary. They will sit up the person in the grave and they will ask him the 3 questions. The questions that we have been taught from a young age. Who is your Lord? What is your religion? And pointing towards the Prophet ﷺ, what did you think about this man, or what did you used to say about this man? مَا رَبُّكَ مَا دِينُكَ مَا كُنْتَ تَقُولُ فِي حَقِّ هَذَا الرَّجُلِ. What did you say about this person? These are the 3 questions that every single person, believer, disbeliever, Christian, Jew, Muslim, Hindu, whatever, it does not matter, atheist for that matter, every single person will be asked these 3 questions. Who is your Lord? What is your religion? And what did you used to say about this person? That's the job of Munkar and Nakir, to ask the deceased this question. What will be the reply? The believer, the Muslim, will reply to the first question. When he is asked, who is your Lord? The believer, the Muslim, will reply, my Lord, my sustainer is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu Rabbi. Rabbi Allah. My Lord is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To the second question, what is your religion? The person, the Muslim, will reply, Dini al-Islam. My religion is Islam. In the third question, when they asked, what did you used to say about him being the messenger of God sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Muslim, the believer, will reply that he is the messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, that's how a believer, a Muslim, will reply to these 3 questions. And these 3 questions will take place in Arabic. Okay, the Munkar and Nakir will speak in Arabic and they will ask you, مَا رَبُّكَ مَا دِينُكَ مَا كُنْتَ تَقُولُ فِي حَقِّ هَذَا الرَّجُلِ. And a person will ask, Shah Sahib, I don't know Arabic, how am I going to answer the questions of the grave? Okay, this is again one of the things which is mentioned in the hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam regarding the beauty of the language of Arabic, is that after a person is dead, there's only one language, that language Arabic. Regardless of whether you knew Arabic or you did not know Arabic, every person will know Arabic. Once a person dies, okay, everybody will know Arabic, and this is not to put you off from learning Arabic. Don't think that, okay, I don't need to learn Arabic anymore, no, once I'm dead. Anyways, yes, Arabic is the language, the Quran, the Sunnah, we love the language. But after you leave the world, there's no other language. There's only Arabic, and automatically you will know that language that you are speaking, okay? Or that is being spoken to you. Then he says that the believer will answer like this, but what will the disbeliever say? The disbeliever will say, I do not know. Ha ha la adri. Okay? And ha ha is not the disbeliever laughing. Rather, ha ha in the Arabic language is to denote that I'm guilty. Okay? I'm guilty, I'm remorseful. I'm afraid, I don't know. Okay? Like we say in English, I'm afraid, I don't know. It's like that. Ha ha la adri. I'm afraid. La adri, I do not know. That's what the disbeliever will answer. What will happen once the question is being asked, the answer is being given, what will happen thereafter? The believer will say, the believer will answer the question, and after he's answered the question, the angels will say to him that, oh person, oh individual, we knew what you were going to answer, and we knew that you would answer like this. Okay? We knew that you were going to answer. Why would they know? Because they knew that the person is a believer, is a Muslim. So of course his answers will be that my Lord is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my religion is Islam, and this is the messenger of God sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Once he's answered that, what will happen? The person's grave will become illuminated and made spacious. Okay? There will be a nur within the person's grave, and it will become spacious. As we mentioned earlier, once you die, your grave is squeezed. Okay? Once you answer the questions correctly, your grave becomes illuminated. And before that, it was complete darkness. Your grave becomes illuminated and it becomes spacious. And then a proclamation will be made, and it will be heard by the angels. What will that be? My slave has spoken the truth. Once you've answered the questions correctly, my slave has spoken the truth. Give him a bed from paradise, and give him clothes from paradise, and open the doors towards paradise. Okay? This is what will happen in the grave of a believer, a Muslim. You answer the questions correctly. He will be given illumination and light and space within his grave. He will be given a bed, a place to rest from paradise. He will be given the clothes of paradise, and a little window within his grave will be opened, which will be looking through to paradise, and he will feel the coolness from paradise in his own grave. That is what will happen with a believer. What will happen with the disbeliever? The complete opposite of that will happen. The person who did not believe, what will happen? A claim will be made, a proclamation will be made, and a window or a door from the hellfire will be opened towards his grave. His grave will be squeezed and become less spacious, and he will be given a bed from Jahannam, a bed from the fire of hell, and he will be given clothes from the fire as well. The complete opposite of what will happen to a believer. The disbeliever, of course, he will not answer any of these questions. Once all of this happens, the door from Jahannam, from the fire of hell, is open towards him. Thereafter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will command the angels to punish that individual. And that is the punishment of the grave. And believing in the punishment of the grave is an essential part of our faith. Okay? So this is what will happen within the grave for a Muslim and a non-Muslim. Now, the question is, there's many questions here. I'll mention a couple. The first one is, why will the disbeliever answer, ha la adri? I don't know. Okay? And the angels will say to him, you're a liar. When he answers, I don't know, the angels will say to him, you're a liar. How can we say that a person is a liar when they're saying, I don't know? Okay? He's not even said anything. He's not made a claim. He's not affirmed anything. He's not denied anything. He just said, I don't know. So why will the angels call him a liar? The angels will call him a liar because this disbeliever, the message of Islam had reached this person. But he did not pay heed. He did not go out to look for the truth. He did not spend his time searching for the true religion. So the angels will say, you're a liar because you did know, you did not believe. You did know that Islam was there. You did know that a prophet called Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came with revelation from God, but you chose not to believe, or you chose not to give any importance to religion. That's two different things. A person can claim, I disbelieved. Okay, so he knows everything about Islam and he says, I don't believe it's true. That person is of course a disbeliever. For another person to come and say, I knew Islam was there, but I didn't technically disbelieve, I never had time to look at it. That's stupid as well. Okay, that claim is exactly the same as disbelieving. Your whole purpose of creation was not to earn money, to earn a livelihood, to accumulate wealth, to buy big houses, that majority of the things people spend their time in. Your time in the world was to worship Allah. And if you did not know about God, you should have gone and found out and studied and researched, etc., etc. And you would eventually have reached the truth, which is Islam. Okay? So that does not count as an excuse that I didn't know because I was heedless. Heedlessness or ignorance is not an excuse for not believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Messenger of God sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's why the angels will reply to him and say, you are a liar. Because you did know, you chose not to believe. The next thing is that we mentioned that when a person disbelieves and he answers the questions wrong, he will be punished in the grave. The question arises, is this punishment only for the disbelievers, or will those who believe also be punished within the grave? Okay? And before that, there's another question. The question before that is, will every single person be questioned in the grave? Okay? And this is again something that we learn. Again, it's not fundamental doctrine, but we learn this from the hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The question is there anyone who is exempt from the questioning of the grave? So as we mentioned, Munkar and Nakir will come to a person's grave and they will question him regarding who is your Lord, what is your religion, what do you think about this person, meaning the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The answer is yes. There are particular people who will be exempt from the questioning of the grave. Who are these people? These people, as mentioned in the hadith, okay, there might be other groups of people, but the only ones we are aware of are those people who are prophets. So of course the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are exempt from the questioning of the grave. They will not be questioned. And again mentioned within the hadith are those Muslims who die on the day of Friday. They will be exempt from the questioning of the grave. And those people who die in the month of Ramadan, they are exempt from the questioning of the grave. So these are three people that are mentioned within the hadith that will be exempt from the questioning of the grave. The prophets, those Muslims, those believers who die on a Friday, and those believers, those Muslims who die in the month of Ramadan, they will not be questioned in the grave. There are other people that are mentioned, but they are mentioned in other narrations. For example, the shuhada, the martyrs are exempt from the questioning of the grave. There are some scholars who said that the ulama and the awliya, they will be exempt from the questioning of the grave as well. Okay? So these are all things, but the three ones, the main ones that are mentioned is those individuals who are prophets, those who pass away on a Friday, and those who pass away in the month of Ramadan. Now moving on to the final thing, just before we finish, is regarding the punishment of the grave. Is the punishment of the grave only for disbelievers, or is it for believers as well? The author states that disbelievers will be subject to punishment. Also, some sinful Muslims will be punished in the grave. However, the punishment will be according to a person's deed. Okay? According to their deeds, the evil that they did, they will be punished for that within the grave. And by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it could be the case that you did some actions which were so beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that in the grave He will stop the punishment for your evil deeds because He loved one of the good actions or a particular good action that you did, and He forgave all your evil sins. Okay? That can also happen. So even though you were sinful, you committed wrong, but you did one deed which was very beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because of that deed, He forgave all of your evil sins, and you will be spared from the punishment of the grave. Then he says, some scholars have said that the punishment of a sinful Muslim will cease as soon as the night of Friday arrives. Okay? So you will be punished depending on whatever day you passed away, and you will be punished until the day of Friday, and it will cease. Some thereafter have said either it will stop from then onwards and you will not be punished again, or it will cease only for the day of Friday, and then depending on your sins, your punishment will continue. So in a simple summary, that the punishment of the grave is not only for the disbelievers. The disbelievers are, of course, they are promised that because they did not even believe. But those who believed, some of them who were sinful, who did major evil deeds, major wrongs and major sins, they will also be punished in the grave. Now a person will ask, why will they be punished in the grave when they believed? Okay? The simple answer is, this punishment will act as a cleansing for them. Meaning the evil that they did, they will be cleansed, so that on the day of judgment they will enter straight into paradise. Another thing is, if a person is punished in the grave, then on the day of judgment, that same Muslim believer is then sent into paradise, then sent into the hellfire again. Okay? Because there will, as we will mention further, that there will be Muslims and believers who will also enter Jahannam, the hellfire. Why will they enter Jahannam? For the same reason. They will enter Jahannam as an atonement for their evil sins and their evil deeds that they did. Because the only thing that is important in that moment is your iman, your faith, your belief. Everything else can be forgiven through the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and through the shafa'ah and the intercession of the Messenger of God sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Okay? But if you do not have faith completely, there is no hope for paradise. Okay? even a sinful Muslim, okay, should be fearful of the punishment of God, but he should also know that regardless of his sins in that sense, he will account for his sins, but eventually he will end up in paradise because he believed. Okay? Then he says that the disbelievers will then be sent to, the disbelievers will be punished in the grave, and the sinful Muslims will be punished in amount of their sins. Okay, so depending on what kind of sins you did and how many you did, you will be punished as a cleansing for that, and then you will be spared from that punishment of the grave. Finally, we finish on this. He says that if a person is not buried, will he or she be questioned? Okay, a question we get asked a lot of the times, like for example, if somebody passed away in the sea, or somebody drowned, does that mean that person will still be questioned, even though they were not buried? Okay, simple answer, yes. Regardless of whether the person is buried or not, or whether the person is devoured by an animal, or whosoever, or howsoever the body is destroyed, cremated, vaporized, drowned, etc., etc., the dead person will be questioned nevertheless, and will be punished if she is deserving of punishment. So it does not matter, as I mentioned earlier at the start, it does not matter what happens to the body. Okay? The questioning of the grave will still occur, and the grave may not be what we understand the grave to be. The grave is literally where the person passes away, or where the person is. Okay? The questioning will still happen, and the punishment of the grave will still happen. There is a story regarding a person, he was a believer, and he, when he was about to die, he willed that, and he told the people that were behind him, he said, when I die, chop my body up into 4 pieces. Cremate one, meaning burn one, bury one, put one piece in the sea, and do something else with the 4th piece. And bury them and put them in different parts of the world. When the person passed away, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala questioned him and said, why did you do this? He said, oh Allah, I was fearful of your wrath. I was fearful of your punishment, and I thought that by me splitting up my body into 4 parts, cremating it, burning it, drowning it, I could possibly escape your punishment. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions to the person that regardless of whatever you do with the body, the questioning of the grave will occur, and the punishment of the grave will occur. Okay? But the story continues and says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave that person. Why did He forgive him? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loved that he did that out of fear of Him, being accountable and questioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the gist of what we should believe and must believe regarding the death, regarding the day, the grave and the punishment of the grave. These are the very basics. There are many other things that we will hear, but those are not fundamental in the sense that if you don't believe in them, you will not become a disbeliever.